One of my green heroes passed this year. A friend, a former speaker at the Clean Tech Investor Summit, and the embodiment of the mantra that I've held for years, that the green of the environment and the green of corporate profits indeed can go hand in hand. I'd ask you to join me in celebrating the life of Ray Anderson, a self-described radical industrialist and the trailblazer of the green business movement. Today, a full 15 years after Ray kicked off his Mission Zero commitment to greening the carpet production process at Interface, businesses everywhere are introducing sustainability into their supply chains and their production processes. Today, it's increasingly common that knowledge that efficient and sustainable production is profitable production. But in the 1990s, Ray was one of those rare voices within the industry. He sparked what some have deemed the next industrial revolution, and our community owes a debt of gratitude to him. In the months since Ray's death, we've seen many fitting tributes to his work and legacy. The Washington Post recalled him as the greenest CEO in America. The Guardian described his transformation of Interface into, quote, an exemplar of how a multinational can significantly reduce its environmental footprint while maintaining and even improving profitability. Time magazine remembered him as a hero of the environment and concluded that Ray's message was, and I'm quoting, a message corporate America needs to hear, that the only kind of true growth is sustainable growth and that everything else is essentially a Ponzi scheme. We in the clean tech community will remember Ray's sharp intellect, his passionate commitment to greening American industry. Ray used to say that people needed a higher purpose to identify with, and this is the biggest purpose there is. Ray often referred to himself as a recovering plunderer because he believed that any company that takes more from the planet than it gives back is involved in plunder. And he spoke of intergenerational fairness, saying theft's a crime, and that the theft of our children's future will someday be considered a crime. Bold words and fitting words from a man who worked exceptionally hard to responsibly steward the health of the planet while always maintaining and improving the health of his own successful company. Ray was described as a radical, not only in his bold sense of responsibility, but also in his vision of how completely green industry could and should transform the world. He often spoke about scaling Mount Sustainability, with the peak signifying the zero footprint that we could all aspire to. Throughout his life, Ray exemplified both vision and commitment. He was a man ahead of his time, and he led others toward that vision of what business could be. That's why his work and his legacy will survive well beyond his own lifetime. And that's why his memory will last as an inspiration to all of us, as we in our own careers are aspiring to achieve that giant task of scaling Mount Sustainability ourselves. It was almost 2 years ago to the day that Ray was here in Palm Springs at the Clean Tech Investor Summit. I had the chance to tell Ray how much he meant to me, how he's been an inspiration to me and so many others in our community. And in rare form, he responded with typical humility. He said, we have a simple choice to make during our brief visit to this beautiful blue and green living planet, to hurt it or to help it. Ray, it's clear the choice you made, doing your part to leave behind our planet in a better state than how you found it. And on behalf of the entire Clean Tech Investor Summit community, as a tribute to you, we're choosing to do our part and follow in your footsteps to do the same. Thank you, Ray. This tribute remembers your time with us just 2 years ago.
Now, if I were introducing myself in my own way, I would simply say that I'm a husband, the father of 2 daughters, the grandfather of 5 terrific grandchildren, the great-grandfather since January the 14th of Bailey Isabel Langford, and I am an industrialist. Some would say a radical industrialist, but I assure you, I am as competitive as anybody you know. My 54-year-long working life has been spent in industry. I founded my company, Interface Incorporated, from absolute scratch, from just an idea 37 years ago, 1973, to produce carpet tiles, modular carpet, in America for the emerging office of the future, and to make them the very best in the world. In the summer of 1994, 16 years ago, in Interface's 22nd year, we began to hear a question that we had never heard before, perhaps from some of you even. What's your company doing for the environment? At that moment, a book lands on my desk. It has been sent to me by our sales manager of Southern California. It is Paul Hawkins' book, The Ecology of Commerce. I began to thumb it. On page 19, I come to a chapter heading, The Death of Birth. Whoa. I began to read. I very quickly learned that the death of birth refers to species extinction. Species disappearing into extinction never again to experience the miracle of birth. It is the point of a spear in my chest, a feeling I have never had before. I took him seriously when he said the only institution on earth that is large enough, powerful enough, pervasive enough, wealthy enough, and influential enough to lead humankind out of the mess it's making for itself. It's the same one that's doing the most damage. The institution of business and industry. My institution. So with almost more vision than I could handle, I made that speech and I challenged that tiny task force to lead our petroleum-intensive company for energy and materials to sustainability, which we defined as zero environmental footprint by the year 2020. Mission zero. More than 60%. And cumulative avoided waste costs over the same period totaling $419 million. Costed down, not up. And waste elimination is paid for the entire mountain climb. In case you're wondering, can a company do this and not go broke? Sales have increased by 60%, profits have doubled over the same period of time. If we can do it, a petrol-intensive company, anybody can, with your